Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have a very special guest that some of the channel thought was going to be Tony Gonzalez when I said the initials were TG. So some are more excited that it's Tom Grossi. Some maybe are a bit sad that it's not Tony Gonzalez, but I guarantee you this man is going to hold it down. How are you doing, Tom? What's up?
I'm great. I'm sorry that I'm not Tony Gonzalez, but we get confused a lot because we look very similar athletic ability. Like I'm walking down the streets and I get that a lot. So it's an honest mistake.
Well, hey, we're just going to jump right into this then, since we're talking about, all right, yeah, give me 2 seconds here. I was looking up your name today. I was looking up your name today, and I stumbled across this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see what happens when why does it look like that? Why is it doing that? Hold on.
Technology.
Yeah,
right.
Oh, and you know what?
Crop
I need
it.
to share.
Can you just zoom it? Can you just zoom in on it? Just there you go. There you go. Look at that. There you go. Look at that.
Who is this?
So yeah, people don't know this, but back in the day, when I was in high school, I grew an inch. Also, I apparently was from New Jersey, but this was before my nose job, and then I had radical plastic surgery done to make the man that you saw today. So, yep, the Amherst Mammoths, 2010. So I was 20 years old and still in high school, or is that a college? I don't know, but it looks like it could be a college, right?
I was just mind blown that this guy's name was Tom Grossi and he played football. It's not you, clearly. Oh, at least before your nose job.
Before the nose job.
6'1", 295-pound senior out of New Jersey. I was like, all right, I'm onto something here.
I got lipo too, like during the surgery. I was just like, you know what? Just fix everything that you see there. And so yeah, no, because I was a, whatever I was. IDF. I was whatever position I was. Yeah, that was me. It's so funny because there is one person who like does like accounting or something who like beat me to the Tom Grossi name, but he like doesn't use it. Like it's on Twitter, like tomgrossi.com. Like he took all of it and doesn't even use it. And I'm just, come on, man. It's just like this random dude. And I'm just like, it's fine. One day.
Is that why you just had your handle just Tom Grossi Comedy?
Yeah. And I was doing I started doing all this and I was still doing stand up, pretty regularly. Okay. So this was before like the podcast like took off. So yeah, that's why I was on comedy stuff.
When was that? Because I was going to ask you about the stand up because I went to your website and it has like a tab for like upcoming shows. Yeah. There's no upcoming shows, but I was like, when was the stand up? I know you started doing it, I think in college, right? Or maybe before.
So I started doing improv in college. So whose line is it anyway? I joined as a member my sophomore year, became vice president junior year, and then president senior year. We did stuff with like Upright Citizens Brigade in the city. That's like where you go before SNL. Like we did shows with them, did the Del Close Marathon, which is a 24-hour marathon of improv. A lot of fun. And then when I got out of school, I was working a terrible office job and really wanted to do improv again, but just didn't have the people around me that had that same kind of commitment. So I was like, all right, let's try stand up and see how it goes. That was 2015 that I started that. So like the podcast and stand up all started the same year. And it was also my first full year of teaching.
Bro, that's a lot in 1 year. Holy smokes.
It was a little bit of a crazy year. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? To that football player, I used to have like a similar haircut. Like I used to go with the buzz cut. I used to go with it, So
hey, there it is.
It just, we're the same person.
So hey, if we zoom in on this, I want to show the people something. If we zoom in on this photo, you see that?
Oh yeah, there it is. Now you could kind of see like the resemblance. Yeah.
Yeah, you
have to look really hard. It's lighting. It's just lighting, but absolutely, dude, that's 100% me.
I had to put your face on there, and then we got to talk about another thing real quick here. We've got a couple shirts to show the people.
There you go.
So
that that shirt looks like 8 different colors depending on who's wearing it. It looks orange. It looks pink. It looks like a salmon. It's pink.
So I definitely tried to wear this outside in public, and my wife was like, nah. So did you successfully go outside with it, or what did you do 100%.
With it? Yeah, no, I wore it outside. Absolutely. Yeah, it's literally right in front of me right now. Yeah, I told Brandon, I said, I'll sign it and I'll auction it away for charity or something. But yeah, no, it's like surprisingly comfortable. Like it's very, very comfortable.
It really is.
So yeah, I enjoyed it. It made me happy. Plus, it's Brandon Perna's face.
Speaking of maybe something that's not so happy, I know Aaron Rodgers is more than likely gone. I was just talking about this with Troy. So I have a new editor over here. He's editing, but he's from Minnesota, so he's a big Vikings fan. But we were just talking about...
Did you just like motion that like he's in the room with you?
He's right here. He's just hanging out.
Oh, he's just like he's just like a man that just hangs out in your basement and is just like, yes. Just like doing
he's in town for training, basically. He's been here for like 2 weeks, this training, and he's going back to Minnesota.
Training,
but he's here
for you. Training for you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, so just like every day he's like picking up laptops and he's like, I'm gonna be the best editor of all time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to let him into my confusing squirrel brain, like trying to let him into my thoughts. Like you've had your editor for a while, I think now, right? So he probably has your tendencies down.
Johnny, I mean, this was the first season that we actually like fully worked together.
Okay.
Just like this past season. Yeah, no, I just have a lot of Johnnies in my life. I got my haircut today by a John. And then I got like, I have Johnny Rockford who makes like the graphics for like my scoreboards and the draft and all that great stuff. And then he used to work with Johnny Barks and recommended Johnny Barks to me. And now I use him too. So it's just one big happy family.
Dude, I love that. A lot of Johnnies.
Yeah,
so we were talking about it, dude, and like you've had a pretty good run. I mean, I'm just thinking as far as QBs go, like going from Favre basically to Rodgers. I mean, that's been a crazy, I don't even know how many years. Is it 2 decades or close to? It's got to be close, right?
Yeah, so maybe it's 91. It's over 2 decades. So it's 91 till 2022.
90? Okay. Brett Favre's older than I remember. I was born in 91, so like my football memory is like really like the early thousands. But are you going to miss this mustache, first of all, from Aaron Rodgers? And then how much are you going to miss the man? And when is he actually becoming a Jet? You think before the draft?
Dude, there's so many things there. The mustache is a great look. There were plenty of years where he would come out for like in the beginning of the year and dress as like a cowboy and would like have like full blown flannel cowboy hat, like cowboy, like bolo tie, whole 9 yards. And with the mustache looked amazing. And listen, yeah, Green Bay Packers fans have been so incredibly fortunate because I was born in 1990. So like for my entire life, the Green Bay Packers have been competitive, right? Since I was a fan, since I was like 6 years old, there was really like a couple of seasons where we weren't good, but otherwise we were always competing, like whether it was for a playoff spot, the division, what have you. So yeah, I mean, like as a player, it has been absolutely phenomenal to watch Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre as a kid was my favorite player just because it was so much fun to watch him. And then, he did things later on which weren't so great. But regardless of that, Aaron Rodgers also came in at a time where it was just ready to move on from Brett Favre, or at least a few of us were. And he was like my really into football QB, in which like I had a good understanding of the game. Like I really was following it. Like the Packers were by far my favorite team. And like my college years and like adulthood, he's been my quarterback. So absolutely, like I'm going to miss that aspect a million. And he's like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. So I'll definitely miss that aspect. As to when the trade is coming, I am still waiting to go on vacation until he does. So I have not gone on vacation. I assume it's going to happen before the draft. I thought it was going to happen 2 months ago, but we're still here. I think, though, that draft night, there's a very good chance it gets done because Goody even said if it doesn't get done by draft night, so if we don't get any draft picks this year, the compensation is going to wildly change, because the idea is that when you give Aaron Rodgers to the Jets are going to be a very good team. They're not going to be picking in the top 15 anymore. At least that's going to be the assumption. So now, like, the value of those picks has just gone way, way down, because he's going to be with them for the full season. They'll probably be picking in, like, high 20s or maybe 30s, depending on how well they do. So yeah, it's going to change. And then they could get dragged out for months more. Can't wait. So excited.
Yeah. What a mess, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not fun.
Jordan Love. I mean, without going down, you've gone down this rabbit hole probably a million times, but not in the HBTC collab. Jordan Love, you think, given the opportunity, he could be the guy of the future? I think he's nearing. They pick up his 5th-year option. He's nearing the end of his rookie deal. Okay.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, I mean, he was drafted in the first round, so we're gonna get like 2 years of Jordan Love, in which we're gonna see is he the guy. Do I think he can be? Sure. I mean, let's just be very honest. Nobody on this planet knows. Like, that's the legitimate truth, because there just hasn't been enough of him. And I've told this a couple of times now, but when we first drafted him, he doesn't play any preseason because there's COVID. So you do not see him for like the entire year. You don't see him. And then the preseason happens for like 2021. He doesn't look great, gets injured. There's talk within the franchise that I'm even hearing about that he is not good. Like, there's people that have information that they shouldn't have, basically saying like, it's not good. And it's like very, very loud. And then as time goes on, like, you saw him play against the Chiefs, right? You saw him play in Arrowhead for a start.
That was his first start, right? Because Rodgers had COVID.
Yep.
Did you like that?
Like, did I like losing?
Well,
no.
I know you. Well, okay. I know y'all lost, and probably if Rodgers was in, I don't know if the game would have been the same. But I'm just saying, did you like what you saw from him first NFL game? Like, was there promise there for you?
There's like a little bit of flashes, but it looked like a guy who was starting in his first game and didn't have a grasp of the offense and was learning this week that he was going to be the starter. So like,
yeah, for sure.
It looked like that, like, and it wasn't like the worst game, but it wasn't great. And then, so all this like chatter's going on. He's not good. It's like, ugh, this is really ugly. And then it starts to quiet down a bit, and you're not really hearing anything about it. And usually, like, that's a bad sign, right? If you're not hearing about a player, you're like, oh, okay, like, what's going on? But then he came out last preseason and he looked completely different. And I think one of the big reasons why is because we got Tom Clements, who was the old coach for Aaron Rodgers. We brought him back because Aaron Rodgers loved him so much. I think he has been so instrumental in developing Jordan Love, and he's staying with the team, which is even better. And I think, like, this guy came out of retirement, so he wouldn't stay unless he wanted to, because it's not like we're throwing that much money at him. And so everything that I've heard is positive. He's taken like some big steps. The preseason was good. Then he came in the Philly game and he played well. And like, I think it was like 6 throws. He looked pretty good. It was a blowout, but I think the potential's there. I think you need to go back and look where there was a time that people were saying like Aaron Rodgers in that 2020 draft, Jordan Love is a top 15 pick.
Yeah.
Like he was pretty high up there. So I think the potential's there. I think he has had 3 years to develop. I think that there's a good amount of weapons that are on the team. We have 2 good running backs. We have a very young wide receiver core. If we are able to get a tight end and another wide receiver in the draft, I mean, at this point, it's the ball's in his hands, and it's like, let's see if the kid can play. Give him 2 years, and we'll find out if he's the franchise QB or not.
I mean, it was bound to happen sooner or later, regardless if Rodgers, regardless of how all that plays out. I mean, he's in his upper 30s. Not everybody's Tom Brady and can play to their freaking 45.
Correct.
Which is crazy. So bound to happen. And it's so interesting, man. The state of the Packers. And I mean, just for me being a Chiefs fan my entire life, we are in a comfortable spot. Just as far as QB goes, dude, it is freaking fantastic. So yeah, it's been a whirlwind for me as a Chiefs fan, and I know, like, in 10, 15 years, I'm going to be there when Mahomes wants to hang it up. So we'll be in that same spot, but that's not for a long time, so I don't really have to think about it too much.
You just keep riding that wave, buddy. I mean, the thing is, too, is you have one of the greatest coaches of all time. Like, Andy Reid's the top 10 coach of all time. He is.
Yes.
So I think that you have that because we had that with Rodgers. Rodgers, one of the best, and Mike McCarthy was really, really good. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of just let Rodgers drive. We didn't have a defense for many, many years. It was just an offense, and it was all Aaron Rodgers, doing a lot of stuff. So, you have this trifecta. You used to have Tyreek Hill, but you have this trifecta of one of the greatest coaches of all time with one of the best tight ends of all time, if not the best tight end of all time, with one of the best QBs of all time, which you could already say about Patrick Mahomes and what he could do. So that's a pretty damn good trifecta, and it's like it'll go as far as long as they want to keep playing and coaching.
No, exactly. And I think that's when I'll be a little bit more concerned is when Andy Reid wants to hang it up. Yeah. I think he's probably going to coach till he's, who knows? I mean, Belichick's in his young lower 70s. Andy Reid's like 64, 65. So Andy Reid could keep going. That's when I'll be a little bit more concerned. Like Patrick Mahomes is going to be here for longer than that. So until that happens, I'm just going to enjoy the ride. It's been many, many years of pain and loss. And speaking of that, I want to go to a photo that I found that is absolutely hilarious. So I was looking through like Chiefs Packers history, and I found this really funny photo of Chiefs legend Derek Thomas hitting Brett Favre. But dude, Brett Favre, he looks terrified. It was just a capture in time. But, thinking back through Chiefs history, Derek Thomas, one of the greatest to do it. I just saw this photo and I was like, I wonder if Tom will appreciate this. Maybe not. But
I mean, now, sure.
Maybe not then.
Did you find any photos from Super Bowl I?
No, they didn't take photos yet, so they didn't have
anything back there, huh? We didn't go back far. Because I have the program. From Super Bowl I.
I actually had a question for you specifically about Super Bowl I. I said, what were your exact thoughts and feelings when the Packers absolutely demolished the Chiefs during Super Bowl I in 1967, even though you were negative 30-something years old?
Yeah. No, I wasn't even I wasn't even floating around at that point. So, but yeah, it was a great day. It was a great day. So, great day of the franchise. I mean, listen, we went back to back AFC West opponents too, because it was the Raiders in Super Bowl II.
That's crazy, man. I actually looked it up because I was curious. I know the Chiefs beat Troy's team, Super Bowl IV, but I was looking at Packers and Chiefs. I guess the Chiefs are 8-5-1 in the series. I didn't realize that it was that far. I guess lopsided. It doesn't matter, but I was just curious. 8-5-1.
The thing that upsets me the most is that we have never seen Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes square off. We were robbed of it for Super Bowls. And every single time, either Patrick Mahomes is hurt or Aaron Rodgers is hurt / out or sick. So, because we wanted the State Farm Bowl and we almost had it. We got Brady instead, which we saw how that went. But yeah, no, there's so many opportunities that we could have seen it. But it's honestly, it's the same exact thing as Rodgers versus Brady. We were supposed to see that Super Bowl a bunch of times, but the Giants got in the way and the Falcons did, so c'est la vie. But then again, I always say there was a little streak going for a while, and I was really, really happy when teams were beating us in the NFC Championship game because Seattle did it. And that's like when we collapsed, and it was like probably the worst loss in franchise history. They then lost on the 1 yard line, 2 weeks later in the Super Bowl. Then we lose in 2016 to the Falcons. We get blown out in the NFC Championship game. 28-3 happens to them 2 weeks later.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. It was a great time. And then Tom Brady broke that curse and then destroyed you guys in the Super Bowl. So that didn't work out.
Yeah, I'm still depressed about that game. I think it just goes to show you, man, like how special the Chiefs' short run has been. Just look at Aaron Rodgers and the success that, he's going down as a Hall of Famer, one of the best to play the game. And he's been to, he's won one Super Bowl. How many has he been to? Just one, right? One. He's 1 for 1. And it's just so hard to get there. That's why I say every single year. That's why it's like the Chiefs been 3 and 4 years, and I just can't freaking believe it, dude. So definitely soaking it up and enjoying it because as good as Patrick Mahomes is, I think he'll go back a few more times, but it's just like it could be the last. You just have to enjoy it because it's that hard. Dude, yeah, it's so hard to get there.
2010, I was like, oh, we're a dynasty. Well, technically 2011 then, but I was like, this is like the start of a dynasty. Aaron Rodgers in his rookie year, it's just not his rookie, his rookie contract. We're gonna rock. This is gonna be great. Well, technically he wasn't his rookie, but you got me. So yeah. I was like, all right, he's a young, we have a young team. Let's go. And then defensive injuries like Nick Collins, and then they cut Charles Woodson. Like we just never replaced those guys. And just like slowly over time, like we went 15-1 the following season. You were the one, by the way. I remember that game very vividly because your defense smoked us. And who'd you have? Did you have Castle? I don't even know if you had. I don't remember who you had as QB.
What year did you say that was?
That was the 15-1 season. So that was 2011, 2012. So it should have been 2011 because I think we lost like it was after week 10. It was like one of the last like few games of the season. Like you were the one in 15-1.
Okay.
But like you didn't have a good team that year. Like the Chiefs weren't good, but their defense like absolutely smoked our offense, and we were putting up like 34 points a game. So I said, okay, we had that, and then we met the Giants, who just like beat the crap out of us, and then we just got close. 2014 should have been a Super Bowl year, but we blew it. And then the closest that we got like actually, and I was like, oh, we could do it, is 2020 and 2021. So it's multiple times within a decade, but still only made it to the big dance once.
Yeah, man, it's freaking crazy. I can't believe the first year starting the channel, the Chiefs won it. I mean, I guess I started technically the tail end of last year, the morning of the divisional game. Chiefs-Bills divisional game is when I started my channel that morning. And then 13 seconds. Yeah, it was a good little jump start. So it's been. Let me ask you this: you started your YouTube channel, did you say in 2015?
Yeah.
2,700 videos on your channel.
Yeah.
2,700. That is so many.
And the first few years, like I wasn't putting anything on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
So like I've put out content at least 5 days a week since August of 2019.
That's insane.
Like I have not missed a day. And that's at least like, so during the season, it's 6 to 7 times. And then there's like multiple uploads per day and all that great stuff. But yeah, no, it's a lot of videos. So here's the thing. I recognize this pretty early on because 2015 really was just the podcast. I think I put like a couple of things on YouTube, but it wasn't even like visual. It was just like the audio with like a picture behind it, so it really wasn't anything. I did that one reaction video, which kind of like blew things up for a hot second, but then it was over. So like I was doing Game of Thrones things on there, Game of Toms, shout out. That was great. But then I think just over time, I realized I was like, well, it's growing decently on like podcast, but YouTube is, I think, where the actual growth is going to happen. So yeah, around like 2016, 17. And by growth, I mean like it was a couple of subscribers like every week, right? It was just like a crappy camcorder. I didn't have lights in the beginning. I was shooting it on like a beer pong table, just a foldable table. Awesome. I went to Home Depot and built my own lighting system out of PVC and bulbs because I couldn't afford a lighting system. I had a like crappy equipment, and it was like an old Sony camcorder. I was editing on my laptop, and it took 3 hours to render like a 45-minute video. So like I would do an interview and be 45 minutes, and it would take about 3 hours just to render it. And there would be times where like my cats would step on a button and I'd have to start over again. Like this was like the reality for a long time. And I tell people it took until 2018 for me to make $200 on YouTube. So like that's the grind, my friend.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I'm pretty serious when I say this to, I'll say this about you, Perna, Tree, like a lot of you guys, you paved the way and put in years of work there, and I feel like I'm reaping a little bit of that just because there is a space and a niche like carved out. And early on, you guys even had me on the GPS and Perna doing some coffee with him and just some stuff like that. You guys always just lent a hand, and you never had to. Oh yeah,
trying to rate you, but you had sub mode only on like 3 times. I had no idea who you were, but I was just like, this guy has a great beard and great quality camera. I want to go rate him. It's just like we never could.
Yeah, I finally was like, oh okay. I didn't even realize, so I turned sub mode only off and got like 5 or 6 more mods or something like that. Yeah. And we haven't had to do sub only again since. So yeah, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude, it's wild because like it is very oversaturated, just the market, right? Everybody has a podcast, everyone has a YouTube channel, but if you put out like consistently good content, like you will attract a following. It might take a really long time. And like for you, you've had this amount of success. Like you had 100,000 subscribers in what, like a year and a half, like 2?
It was like 15 months, something.
Yeah, like that's insane. So, you know, like that,
it's crazy.
You did it right. It looks really, really good. The presentation is fantastic. So, you know, you did it the right way, and like the growth reflects that. So I think, you know, it's also just, it shows people like, hey, like if you make this kind of content, you know, you make like good, genuine content and like the quality is good. Yeah, like you will get a following. I can't tell you how like quickly or slowly it's going to happen, but you know, if you're willing to like put it in and put the work in and also do it because you love it and not really to make money, then yeah, you're rocking and rolling.
Oh, 100%. I dropped a video a day for 6 months. I think I made it before my back was hurting so bad I took a couple of days off. But yeah, for that first 6-7 months, man, a video a day, was spending 5 to 7 hours. Like I was working a day job, waking up at 3:50 a.m. and working till like 9, then going to work and then doing it all over again. But I was doing it because I loved it. You know, I was like, I just enjoy the grind. I wasn't even really wasn't making that much at that time. Definitely nothing to quit the day job with, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did it because we loved it, man. And I have a question. Out of those 2,700 videos, if you could think of a couple, what's like hands down your favorite piece that you've ever made or most fun? Could be a surprising video that like went ultra viral that you didn't think was going to go.
So I have that one easy. That one's the easiest one. So well, there's two things. All right. The first video I put out for football, because I did a reaction. It was my first ever reaction. And this was in 2015. I did a reaction 2 days later to the NFC Championship game, like the Packers one. And I just like made it up because it was so funny how badly everything went. It was just like the 2-point conversion, the fake field goal, the onside kick, like everything that could have possibly went wrong. So 2 days later, I just like made it, and it was just very therapeutic. And like back then in 2015, it got like 60,000 views, and I was like, holy crap, like that's amazing. I made maybe like 3 pennies off of it.
It's this video, right?
Yep, that's the one. Yep, it's on the same couch. So like all my reactions, like they are still on that same exact couch. Yeah, and like it got like a good amount of views, and I was like, oh crap, and that's what gave me the idea to start the podcast. So like it did well on YouTube, but then I just like ignored YouTube and went back to, you know, like the podcast and just like started it there. So there was that. The video that I like gave no mind to, but it's my most watched video, is the Jordan Love reaction, because that is from the 2020 draft, in which I was streaming the entire thing.
1.6 million.
There you go. It is 2:30 in the morning. I remember this vividly. It is 2:30 in the morning. I'm sitting there. I just finished putting out like my Jordan Love like 2020 recap video after streaming for 5 hours. And I said, you know what? Let me like cut, was it 2 minutes long, something like that? Let me just
2 minutes, 2.5 minutes
of reacting to Jordan Love. And I'm just going to put it on there. Like, I'm just going to put it on there and see what happens. And it blew up. And that was probably like my first, that's when it kind of changed the channel, in which like there was like real momentum. And it was like, oh, okay, like this is a big deal. Because I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think that's when I hit 100,000 subs like later that September. I think it was 2020. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, like that was a big deal.
I mean, you've grinded through the years, but I feel like the momentum now for you is really snowballing. Like if you look at your analytics and just your views from last season, it's crazy. Even what you get just from like your play-by-plays. I mean, I'm like, dude, this guy is pulling algorithm heaven. Like, you know what I mean? You're killing it, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's a double-edged sword, because I really leaned into streaming, and I've been streaming games since minimum 2018, at least, when there was like 5-10 people in there. And I just did it because I basically looked at it this way. I'm going to watch the game anyway. I love football, and I'm going to watch every Packer game anyway. So I might as well have a camera on, and if it grows the channel, cool. And if not, I'm watching football anyway. It's whatever. And that happened for years. Like it was like that for a while. And now, you know, when we go live, and it's not even just Packer games anymore, we're usually like the number one stream on YouTube, streaming these games, which is just awesome. And like the community that just comes through, like for a Thursday night football game between the Colts and the Broncos, right? And the fact that we're getting like 5,000 to 8,000 people in there for a team that I have no stakes in. It's like AFC teams that not even within my conference, but it's just so much fun. I mean, I streamed every effing primetime game last year, every playoff game, every primetime game, every Packers game. So, but I love it though. Like it takes so much time, which is like the real like bleh, but it's great. Like I love it.
I can't remember what game this was. I think it was a playoff game, but you were outranking Pat McAfee because I think they were doing like a live stream of it too. You remember what game that was? That was crazy, actually.
That was the Super Bowl.
Oh, that was the Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, so
I knew it was one of the playoff games.
There's a few reasons why that happened, though. The stream that he was doing was really low effort, and that's not meant to be an insult. Like, it was literally, he was in a gymnasium, there was a camera on a tripod, and you could barely hear them, and that was the whole stream. Right? There was that. The way he titled it, like, wasn't the best because it was a little bit more difficult to find. But did I take that as a win? Absolutely. Because that's still like a really cool thing. Because Pat McAfee, out of all of us, right, is like the top of the industry, right? Is on YouTube as a sports creator. And obviously he has like millions of dollars and a team behind him. And, we're people in a basement. And sometimes we, hold people hostage in our basement to edit videos. But, like we're really like small fish here. So, like that was really cool. Like Barstool like went live one night and we were beating them. And that was really cool. So yeah, I mean, like I'm just appreciative of it all and very grateful, and we just like keep on rocking. And the community building has been amazing. And yeah, I mean, again, like I still stream every Friday, for Q&As. Sometimes it's an hour and 40 minutes, and sometimes it's 3.5 hours, like it was on Friday. And the same like 400 to 600 people show up every single Friday, and that's just what we do.
Yeah, that's been my favorite. Like I put a lot of work into the shorts and the daily like updates and stuff, but some of my favorite things to do is just stream and hang out with the community. Like even recently in the off season, I haven't even really catered like a creative thumbnail or title, partially because news is just slower. And then the other part of it's like, well, the core guys and girls, they're going to show up regardless. And I've always been very appreciative of that. It's probably my favorite part is just hanging out with the core community. And the channel's only a little over a year old, so we're still figuring everything out. But dude, it's been a lot of fun, and yeah, you've been a big inspiration, man. I appreciate all that you do. I have a question about your skits because you do them a lot. How much of that is improv, and how much of that is like I'm scripting this out and then filming each side? Is it kind of a mix? How does that work?
I would say if I had to put like a number on it, I'd say like 85% of it is improv.
Okay. Jesus.
So every video that you've ever seen after something happens, a big trade happens, a game is done, like, let's just say it's a playoff game, because I did reactions after every playoff game. 100% of those are scripted. Like there's not a single thing. Like I might like take a note and just to like remember it, but I've watched the game, so like I don't need to take notes, and I just go on. And the thing that I will pride myself on is like I do a lot of work to try and understand where every fan base is, so I can just sit down and I could just bleh, and it'll come out accurate. So for example, today's video, so this is scripted out. This is a reaction video for a season. Like this is what that looks like. So I work insanely hard to get it as accurate as possible for the season reactions, because I want to like make sure if you are a fan of that team, you feel like you're being represented. So like I go on Twitter, I go on message boards, I go on subreddits, I go on, kind of just go back through the channels. I go through back some of my notes to kind of form, okay, well, I'm going through their whole season. What did they do in last offseason? What did they do during the season? What did like every week? Well, what happened with this game and this game and this game? Oh, they hate this coach. They don't like this coach or whatever, because I just try to get it as accurate as possible. And, I do the best I can, but like, this is probably about 3 hours of prep work for each team. And those are for the season reaction. So those are very scripted, but let me put the saying, like what I say isn't, if that makes sense. So like here, like I have, February 1st, Brady retires because it's a Saints fan. So I write down what I'm going to say. Then he unretires. So I just like have the events written down.
Okay.
And then I riff and I just improv. It takes about 15 minutes to film and then that's it. And then I edit it. Then there's stuff where like maybe it's not on the couch, and that could be a mix. A lot of times I'll write stuff down and I'm like, I don't like it. And I just wind up changing it while I'm filming anyway. And I just like improv it. So yeah, it's kind of just like a mix of all those, but the vast majority of the content that I do is all improv.
Dude, sometimes a game will just get over and your reaction's up like 5 minutes later. I'm like, what the frick? Like I'm over, like I'll do some reactions after Chiefs games and stuff. And I'll like be like looking up the ending game stats or something. And you already have a video up. I'm like, okay. Yeah. I do like that. Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say the thing like with Johnny Barks, like why he's been so helpful is because during the playoff games, I was streaming every single one and I was having reactions after every single one. So there were times where like the game would start and the other game is still going. So it was the Vikings Giants game for the wild card. I had 10 minutes in between the game and I was late for like the stream. And I shot it real quick. And then there was a commercial break. And I was like, you know what? I wanted to add something. So during the commercial break, I muted it. I set up my other tripod. I recorded it. And then I literally sent it to Johnny. And it was out within like 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. Because they're super easy to edit. Yeah. But you were still live and said, hey, guys, I'll be right back. I got to film this scene.
Yep. And I literally like unmuted. And I was like, all right, I'm back. And I was back before the commercial was over.
Bro, that's crazy. And I do appreciate that about you. You said you aim to try to, you're in the know enough to be like at least a pretty common understanding of how a fan would see things. So like the Chiefs fans videos, I always find them pretty funny because I'm like, hey, that's kind of how I think, or that's kind of how I see Chiefs Twitter acting.
It's a hive mind.
Speaking of the Chiefs, and then I don't have to keep you too much longer, but what are your thoughts on their offseason moves so far? And just like, I'm just curious from your perspective, because you do cover the NFL as a whole with GPS and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs stuff so far and the little moves that they made?
I mean, honestly, the problem is like they don't need to do anything. I'm at the point where they traded away Tyreek Hill, which was arguably like the top 3, top 5 player on their team. We did the same thing. We didn't make the playoffs. You did it. You won the Super Bowl. So like, I can't even, the Chiefs are so difficult to gauge. Like, cause they were talking about Justin Ross today, right? And saying like Patrick Mahomes, like singing his praises. And I remember Justin Ross cause he had that horrible injury and he got picked up by the Chiefs and everyone was like, they're going to turn him into a superstar if he can actually play. Like it's going to be a problem. And I hope he does play because the guy like definitely deserves a chance and like he can definitely be a game changer. But as I said before, you keep that trifecta around in which Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Reid are there. It like doesn't really matter what you do because you will at least be competitive and likely good. Isaiah Pacheco, you got him in the 7th round, and I remember the preseason game against us because that's the first time I saw him. I was like, who is that? Because that guy just runs like he just like he is shot out of a cannon every single time. And I'm like, of course you got him. But that goes to show you draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire so high and he's already been overtaken by Isaiah Pacheco. And it's just like, okay, well, yeah, we can waste that draft spot. And it didn't work out because we wound up getting someone in the 7th round because that's what like good franchises do. So, I mean, like you had MVS who was on our team who like did fine for you guys. Like, it was like Juju Smith-Schuster, like he was productive, but these are not like, core, like best of the best, top 5, not even maybe top 15, top 20 wide receivers in the league. And you're still able to operate a really good offense. So the Chiefs, like, they're going to be Super Bowl favorites again this year because everyone thought it was the Bills. Last year, they got decimated by injuries and that went the way that it went. But I think it's just you have the coach that has so much experience, is amazing at what he does. Patrick Mahomes is not a rookie anymore. He knows what he can do, one leg or not. Like that. Back. Cole, I want you to like remove yourself for like a hot second. Any other quarterback that you could say, oh, he probably doesn't have use of one of his legs, and still go, I like our odds still in the AFC Championship game. That is not a normal thing to like go through. So I think, again, you keep that core around. It really doesn't matter who comes and goes, because they are going to be forced to adapt into that mold that you've created for the Chiefs. Because there's a lot of times where like players come in and like maybe they like change the culture, or they're like, oh, like maybe we're going to do this. And you could probably still have that on defense and things like that. But for the offense, it's like, this is Patrick Mahomes' show. Travis Kelce's still going to be the highest targeted guy. And Andy Reid is still going to be like calling all these plays. And that's just the way that it's going to go. And if you want to be successful and be part of like this winning formula, you have to adapt to that.
I still feel like we've had Mahomes since 2017. He took over in 18, but I still feel like I'm in a semi-dream state, just because of every year. I'm like, well, what's this year going to be like? And it's always at least been the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of sad, because now it's like, well, I guess we'll just at least make it there again. But it's like kind of a sad mindset to have, just because they've done so well. You know, it's so hard to even just get to the AFC Championship or Conference Championship in general.
So that is a perfect thing that you just said. And I've tried to explain this to people, because people look, and you get this too, right? Broncos fans, Raiders fans, Chargers fans, they look at the Chiefs with like such like discontent, and there's like, oh, like you cocky a-holes, like you're so good, and like blah, 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 blah. Think about the mindset you have, because if you didn't make it to the AFC Championship game this year, like this upcoming season, you're disappointed, yeah? Because that's the expectation. Now take a look at it from the Packers' perspective. We win a Super Bowl in 2010, 2011, and we never get back there, but that's the expectation for the past 12 years. So every year that we fall just short, or we have a heartbreaking playoff loss, which there are plenty of, it's just like driving the knife in deeper. And it's just because that's your expectation. Because, and this isn't a knock on any team, if you are, let's just say the Houston Texans, right? They suck. The Houston Texans, a great year for them this year, a great season, they make it over 500. That's a great year for them. If they make the playoffs, they're marching down Houston, and they're throwing a parade. Us, if we didn't make the playoffs, we're like, oh my God, something is catastrophically wrong. Like it is the end of the world. But it's just like the mindset / expectations. When you're a winning team and you do it for a while, that becomes the expectation. So when that doesn't happen, and it happens year after year after year, yeah, it's a rough thing. And listen, I'm not trying to get pity from anybody, but like that's the reality of it. It's like there's a reason why there's a sector of Packer fans, it's called Entitled Town, because like it's that entitlement of, if we are not like gunning for a Super Bowl every year, then what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, I think for me, it helps that I've been a Chiefs fan since I was born. So I was born into a Chiefs loving family, blah, blah, blah. We watch games every Sunday, but like we watch them lose every Sunday, basically. There was a few years here and there above 500. But I remember when Mahomes won the first playoff game for the team, I bought his jersey. I was like, the curse is over. Yep. Danny, at the time, we weren't making a lot of money, and my wife was like, you're going to buy like a NFL like official jersey? That's like over $100.
Like, yeah.
I was like, trust me, I don't buy a lot of jerseys, but I have the Mahomes one still from 2018 just sitting there. But yeah, man, thanks so much for we didn't ever say like, hey, we're going till this long or you got to get off, but I know you're super busy. I do want to, if you have time, touch on one more quick thing. And it's how, one thing I've noticed, and it's really cool, is just how awesome your community is and how generous they are. You guys are doing charity streams and stuff like that. Are you doing those like once a month, every quarter? Have you kind of changed how you've done that? Because you'll be doing them, and you just recently raised like $10,000-$15,000, and you guys kind of do that pretty regularly. What's the mindset behind that, and how often are you doing that?
So it varies. So it's now become an annual thing, and it's going to be. So 2021. So, all right, you want the long version or the short version?
Up to you, man. I'm here.
Right. I'll give you the medium-sized version.
Okay. There you go.
I'll give you medium. So when I started this podcast, one of the first guests I ever had on, and this wasn't even on YouTube, one of the first guests I ever had on, I always say at the end, because the guest is the most important person, I go at the very end, plug whatever you want. And I was just getting regular fans. I wasn't getting creators. I wasn't getting like news reporters or anything. I was going on the subreddits. You will probably find mine on the Chiefs subreddit back from like 2016. It's need a Chiefs fan, and it was just insert team. And I explained who I was, blah, 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 and I would get one from a subreddit. So I brought on a guest, and I asked him at the end, I was like, do you have anything to plug? And he goes, no. He's like, because I don't want people to follow me. But he goes, I will plug a charity. And it was a charity that gave service dogs to people who were veterans. They were disabled. They were homebound, kids with cancer. And I was like, oh boy, like that's heavy. And at that point, Cole, like, I don't even know if it was, I don't know if it was before or after the Rams episode. The Rams episode was the first episode I had over 100 people listen to. And I was like, oh my God, I'm famous. It might not even been 100. But at that point, I was not making like definitely no money off the podcast, but I wasn't making a lot of money either. So I donated $50 to that charity just because I was like, you know what? He gave me his time. And so I think that's the right thing to do. And I remember that moment vividly because I was like, if I ever get to a point where I can actively give back, I'm going to do that. And a few years ago, it's probably like around like 2020, something like that, we did some fundraiser streams. We raised a few $1,000s for charity every now and then. In 2021, we raised more money for charity. I did that 8-hour charity stream the week before Christmas. And in those 8 hours, we raised $51,000 in 8 hours. And yeah, it was about $86,000, I think, in all of 2021, because I would just do them like sporadically. And then in 2022, it is usually just like randomly, like every couple months, like I'll just do another charity stream. But then we did the 8-hour one and we raised $62,000 for this past for another charity. And we just I do different charities every time. I vet the crap out of the charities. They're not just like bringing awareness, anything to that. Like the majority of the stuff is going to help people. And that's just like a part of what I've always wanted to do with a platform. I also think that me having this platform and community is really dumb. Like I shouldn't I was a teacher for 6 years, full-time teacher. And I've made more money doing this than teaching. Like, I think that's stupid. like the priorities, it should not be. Oh, I was teaching the youth of America and I wasn't like coming close to what I'm making now. So I feel like I need to constantly earn this platform that I have. So any chance that I get to give money back or help out smaller creators, I mean, that's what we do raids too, right? It's like helping people who have nobody watching, one person watching, or just smaller creators, because it's just giving back. It's helping like the next, keeping them going in the next, version or generation of creators. But it's also like using this platform to try and do some good stuff too. Because like if this ended tomorrow, I could be like, you know what? Last year in 2022, we raised over $100,000 for charities. Like we vibing, like we're good. So that's kind of the hope. And, I have a big announcement coming next week. That's like my biggest endeavor ever. And if you thought we raised a lot of money for charity the past 2 years, just wait. So, yeah.
Dude, I'll be excited to hear what that announcement is. And I'm sure with Tom Grossi behind it, it's going to be something a little wild because in order to, I feel like I make a lot of content, you make more. But even for me to make what I do, it's like I kind of just live in this basement, like literally. Yeah. I mean, I see my family, like my wife and kids are up here. Thank God they're just 10 stairs up and I can see them for a couple hours and then go back down. But yeah, you kind of have to be a special, at least willing to be isolated and be okay with that, maybe even introverted in some regard. So hats off to you, man, for all you've done. And I even love that the give back mentality that you have. You kind of just said, like, I feel like I have to earn it at times, which that's a great mindset to have. And a whole nother convo for another time is teacher pay and even pay of medical personnel and stuff. Talking like first responders, it's pretty nuts. But dude, very appreciative of you and your time. I wanted to do what you were gonna do, or what you say you do for guests anyway, is before we get off, any final thoughts or anything you want to plug, anything you want to mention where people can follow you or anything like that.
Next Thursday, draft night, I'm lighting the world on fire with the biggest announcement I've ever done. So stay tuned for that.
Dude, let's go. I'm stoked for that. And you can also follow him. Everybody in here probably knows who you are, but I tagged his YouTube channel in there. You can follow him on Twitter. He's always has a good show with Brandon Perna as well. GPS. 3 days a week. 3 days a week? Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks again for all you do. Thanks for before the season, I think you guys had me on the show, or right at the beginning. I had like 20,000 subs or something. And you guys had me on the show, and a bunch of people, man, they're like, yo, we didn't even know your channel existed, and we're huge Chiefs fans. And so I'm very grateful. Very grateful for you extending the hand down from up top. You're about to hit 500K. You're about to hit 500K, man.
Yeah, it'll come eventually. It's slow now, but yeah, we'll get there.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time, brother.
Appreciate you having me, Cole.
Can you say, how about those Chiefs? Or is that illegal?
Yeah, it's fine. How about those Chiefs?
Let's go, dude. A bunch of people were asking.
I'll dress
Appreciate
up
it, man. Take care, man.
Icon.
Oh, we got it. How about those Chiefs? Let's go. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. It was a really fun time to have Tom on there. I know there were some donos. There were some gifted members. I was really trying to just enjoy that time with Tom and just interact with him. It was our first really one-on-one conversation. I just decided to have it on a live stream. I did see right at the end of this conversation, guys, some people were commenting that the Chiefs signed a QB. So they signed, I think, Blaine Gabbert. That is who, okay, this isn't, I wasn't necessarily on a Blaine Gabbert train, but I basically said, hey, the Chiefs need, or more than likely will sign a veteran QB to compete against, with Shane Buechele. So they did sign Blaine Gabbert to a 1-year deal per Herbie Teope and probably others. But there's the veteran QB that the Chiefs have pretty much always had around, from Chase Daniel, Matt Moore, Nick Foles, to the most recent in I'm spacing him. Chad Henne. I was like, anything is possible. Come on, can't space that guy. So that's awesome. I might make a quick video on that. And we have our Q&A tonight, guys, at 7 p.m. But hey, shout out to all the Grossi posse. I saw you guys rolling in here pretty deep. Appreciate you guys. A lot of Tom's community has shown me love over the months, especially over the football season. And I'm very appreciative for Tom and Perna and just them allowing space from smaller creators. So I'm hoping to try to do the same as well as time rolls on here. Yeah, Tom equals GOAT, said Birchwood Vampire. Kermit with the 5 said Christian Watson will be a Chief in 3 seasons based on recent history of taking Green Bay receivers. Randy, what's up, dude? When's our Zoom call? Probably this weekend. I'll make a poll in the community tab and we can vote on what day, but it's definitely going to be this weekend. We have to do it before the draft because it's going to get too nuts. Trish, thanks so much. She said, great collab. Rebecca, appreciate you. Thanks so much. Where was Gabbert last playing? Bro, I don't even know off the top of my head. I'm going to have to just look into it and do a little bit of research, and we'll make a quick video on that. But hey, thanks so much, guys, for hanging out. And we got Tom with to give a little how about those Chiefs, which was pretty cool. So until next time, which is tonight, Q&A hangout. Let's go. Let's freaking go. Hey, man. Let's go, dude. Go Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence out.